Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me? Okay, I'm glad to hear your response. Thank you. Okay, now let's start the class. Since everybody knows that it's due to the pandemic of the COVID-19, since the students you cannot come back to the campus, but the study has to keep going on. That's why we studied through the online. Since we'll do the teaching is on time according to the schedule. Since today we are going to talk about the course. It's called Human Parasitology. Human Parasitology. Since the first today is the major content about this course is the general introduction of this course. My name is Li Xuerong. It's an English name. We put the first name as last. Xuerong Li. I'm from the Department of the Parasitology, Sun Yat-sen University. So here is my email address and the office phone number. So feel free to contact me through email or the phone if you have any question about this course during your study. So let's look at the teaching schedule. Since for this course, Human Parasitology, since every Monday in the afternoon, and Beijing time is from in the afternoon 2:20 to 4 p.m. 4 o'clock. Since basically it's the same as the schedule as like the offline the class. So the human parasitology also total is around 19 times, is including one is called middle exam. Since such as every week we have one time class of the human parasitology, such as today. Here's the topic of the lecture. Such as today we are going to the major is tell you some background about the human parasitology. We call the introduction to the human parasitology. Then the next week we will discuss here's all the topics is on this table. So you can look at it if you want to like the pre-read the contents. So you can according this schedule to do it. Since we do have a middle examination is on the 10th weeks. Then with the final we finished this in 19th week. Since we have two classes for the lectures online, as actually we also need to do the practice in the lab, but now we cannot do it. That is a pity. Since we may do it later when you all come back to the campus. So the human parasitology today is we are going to discuss is majorly three parts for the human parasitology. Since the first part we will let's discuss about the important part of this course. Since first you should know why we need to study this human parasitology. It must be very important for you as a future doctor. Then the second part is called the contents of this course. What we are going to study, what this course including, including the various parasites. So that is the contents is also very important. Then the third part is about the method. We will tell you some information about how to study this course. Since each course they have the different characters, since we use the suitable method to study this course, so you can for you to better understand this course. Since let's look at this first to see how important is this course called human parasitology. So as a medical student, so you know the parasite, once the people got infected by the parasite, they will cause a disease. It's called the parasitic disease. And also there's other name is called tropical disease. Tropical disease including many kinds of the parasitic disease. Of course, the tropical disease also includes some disease like caused by the virus or bacteria. So that is, and also the parasitic disease is part of the global health. So the parasitic disease is a long time is with the human, such as in China. Look at this. This is in the Mawandui in China. That is the Hunan province in Changsha City. This the lady's name is called Xinzhui, Miss Xinzhui. So that is more than 2,000 years ago. So in her organs in the liver, so in the intestine, is now the scientists found the schistosoma eggs, and also in the liver, so as well. So both organs, they found that schistosoma eggs in the Xinzhui. So this is direct evidence to shows that there was endemic area with schistosomiasis in China. So now you know in China there's also schistosomiasis in some province. So which means you see this parasitic disease last thousands of years. So the as we know, the parasitic disease is one of the oldest human disease. You know, the previous the evolution of the human is from the monkey then finally to the human. Since there's a lot of the disease, the parasite can also infect the animal as well as the human. So that is called animal disease. There's some parasite that infect the human as well as can infect the animal. Then this disease they transmit from the animal to the human as well as from the human to the animal. So that is this kind of disease we call zoonosis. So it's the disease not just transmitted from the human to human, but from the animal to the human, human to the animal. So that is called zoonosis. There are many kind of the parasite disease belong to the zoonosis, such as Schistosoma japonicum cause a disease called the schistosomiasis. Then some parasite due to the evolution, the parasite only can infect the human. So they cause the disease called human disease, like the Ascaris lumbricoides, this only can infect the human but not animal anymore. So that is the different. Some parasite may only infect the animal but not the human. So that is the different. So as we said, why we say there is parasitosis is still a serious human disease, especially in the poverty area, in some like in Africa or some poor country. Since the health is not that good, since you can see this many people are infected by the parasite. So you cause this like the people or schistosomiasis. You can see the big abdomen, or this is also the children got infected by this Schistosomus japonicum. This one is infected by the filaria, and this Ascaris lumbricoides. So once the people got infected by these various parasite disease, or they will got sick and they cannot work well, or and also it's very bad to the health. So previously we just said this most of the parasite disease belong to that tropical disease. So what is called tropical disease? So this kind of disease prevalent is in or unique to the tropical and the subtropical region. Tropical region and the subtropical region since you know there's many countries, especially in Africa, there's a lot of countries in the tropical and the subtropical region. Since most often this kind of disease, tropical disease, is transmitted by an insect bite. It's for example like a mosquito or some other insect. Then they can cause the transmission of the infectious agent through that subcutaneous blood exchange, like the malaria parasite. Since from the people got sick, then the mosquito bite the patients, then the mosquito bites another healthy people, then they transmit this pathogen parasite, malaria parasite, from the healthy people from the patients to the healthy people. So for most tropical diseases, vaccines are not available. So people know for the prevention of the infection disease, that if we can invent a vaccine, that is the most effective way to prevent the disease. But unfortunately, for this kind of the tropical disease, the vaccines are not available so far. And also, some of them they don't have the cures. So once the people got infected, then it's hard to do the treatment or to cure them. So that is a tropical disease. Since look at the World Health Organization, you see the neglected tropical disease. Tropical disease, some of them is also got neglected by the various country. So it's NTD. So what is called NTD, neglected tropical disease? So it's a group. So so far is total is around 18 NTDs. Since these NTDs majorly is in the tropical and subtropical area. Total is in 149 countries. And also this kind of the disease can affect more than 1 billion people. And also costing developing economies billions of dollars every year. So that is a serious problem. And also NTD, they mainly affect the populations living in the poverty. So it's, the people is the economic is not that rich. So it's majorly in a poor country. So it's, here is the list of the total 18 kind of the disease of the NTD. We highlight for this as a parasite, the yellow color is majorly means the parasitic disease. The others, some of them is caused by the bacteria or the virus. So you look at this the table of total 18. Since you can see is most of them belong to that parasitic disease, such as schistosomiasis, lymphatic filariasis, leishmaniasis, like sleeping sickness, or the foodborne trematodes and echinococcus and Chagas disease, then all this kind of most of them are belong to that parasitic disease. So that is why we say that the parasitic disease is very important. So the other way, let's say, is why we say this important. So once the people got infected by this various parasite, so some of them they may get pass away or get died or earlier died. So we use called DANIS. DANIS means disability adjusted life years. So this one represent attempt to quantify the burden of each disease. Since this is called quantify, that is important. Since how to calculate it. Since it calculated as the sum of the life years lost through earlier deaths, means YLL, then plus the years lost to disability, YLD. So that is called DANIS, disability adjusted life years. So that is a more accurate estimation of disability adjusted life years. Since look at here, we choose some examples, such as this is globally the hookworm infection. Since the DANIS is 22.1 million, then the infected people globally is 576 million people got infected. So that is a huge number. Then look at ascariasis. It's also like 10.5 million DANIS, and also 807 million is infected globally. So look at the rest of the parasitic disease. So it's totally, so you see the total 7 kind of the parasitic disease. The DANIS is 52.1 million, and also the infected is every year is more than 1 billion people. So that is a huge number. So that is why we say this course is also very important. And even in today's is also the parasitic disease is also some cause some like new public health problems, such as the co-infection. There's like the HIV. If the people got infected by the HIV, then sometimes they also infected by these intestinal parasites. So the combined together, which means co-infection means the one person infected by like the HIV or the intestinal parasite together, then they cause even more serious health problem. Then there's also some problem, new problem is called imported infection, such as like the people or travel to the other country, or go to Africa or for traveling purpose or for the work or for the others. Then they got infected over there, then they come back to the home country, such as here the example, like they come back to China. Then they got infected, that is called imported infection. Then there's some emerging infection, and also some parasite disease belong to this opportunistic infection, such as Toxoplasma gondii, or if the people got infected by this parasite, as in normal healthy people, they will not got the disease. But for this HIV patients or this parasite, they can like do the further damage to the cause disease to this patient. So that is the opportunistic infection. The immune system got damaged, then this parasite they do the multiplication and cause damage, cause disease. Even they may also can cause the people died. So that is the opportunistic infection. Opportunistic is based on the immune systems is normal or abnormal. Then now there's also some parasite like the amoeba. Amoeba encephalitis is caused by this parasite called Legary flori. So this this parasite go into the brain, cause the brain inflammation. So the people will go to the common or the high fever, or then the got died. So that is like the parasite can eat the brain. So that is you can imagine that. So it's very dangerous if you like they got infected or like in the water system or in the in some through the water. Since in China the parasitic disease are still risk in China. Since here shows some examples. Is the one is like the foodborne parasitosis. So such as in China, some people like to eat raw or uncooked fish. Then the fish, if the fish infected by the parasite, then the people eat this raw fish, or they will also get infected. So that is called foodborne parasitosis. Then in the lost part or the lost part of China, since there's a disease called echinococcosis. Echinococcosis, that is, this disease is also happened in the sheep or dog or the human, so it's over there. And in China, there's also some imported parasite disease, as we mentioned before. You know, the people travel a lot from the outside country, or they go back. Then they got infected the outside, then they come back. That is imported. Bring the parasite disease go to China. So one typical example including is malaria parasite. People like to travel to Africa, then they got infected. Then at that time they may not get disease, but when they go back China, then maybe a few days, then they got high fever or this kind of the symptoms. This second example is about the trypanosomiasis. Trypanosomiasis, you know, that is majorly in Africa or the South America. So over there, then the people can get infected over there, then they come back. Then the third typical example is it's called schistosomiasis. Schistosomiasis is, you know, in China there's the people is the schistosoma is called Schistosoma japonicum, but in the other country, the parasite is a different name, like Schistosoma mansonia in Africa. So here shows there's a nice review shows this summarize the number of the cases of each malaria imported from abroad, from outside countries, is from like 2011 to 2016. There's some other parasitic disease they also do the summarize. So you know there's imported cases quite a lot. So for malaria, almost every year there's around 2,000 to up to 4,000 malaria cases are imported from outside the country or to China. So now the Chinese government there's called a big plan is called the Belt and Road. So which means the countries they signed the cooperation document related to the Belt and Road in 1980. That is the blue color. Then here means the people they can travel quite a lot. So it's very close. So there's a lot of the different, each country, they have the different kind of the parasitic disease. If the people travel a lot, they can transfer the parasitic disease from the one country to the other country. So here's one example. It's like in Africa, China is exploring more and more lab force to other countries all the world to make the construction. So nowadays there are at least 1 million Chinese working abroad in schistosoma endemic area, like in this kind of area. Most of them are construction workers. They often contact the infected water, so there is a high chance this worker will get infected by this parasite. Since that is we got to pay more attention about it. Since according to the case report of the hospitals, until the 2014, there had been at least 147 imported schistosoma Masonia infection cases in China. So in China, from the local place, we don't have this schistosoma Masonia infection case. There's those ones all imported from outside the country, such as from Africa. So here shows this schistosomasis control program over the time. There's various countries to see if they have that national plan to control this disease. This black color, this bar, means they have the national or territory-wide coordinated control plan. So, which means if they have this national plan, that means that they control this schistosomasis very well. Such as in Japan, now there's no schistosomasis anymore. But for some countries, there's only the pilot or the focal. They don't have the national coordinated control plan. Since they still have this schistosomasis is still very widely, still very serious. Since especially in Africa, you see the Africa schistosomasis are still quite serious. Since in China we try to eliminate all this schistosomasis in 2013. Since within the next 10 years, since we plan to eliminate this schistosomasis. So here you look at in Africa, you see there's a lot of water. The children just the swimming is over there. Since very easy to wash the clothes. Since very easy for them to get infected by this schistosoma, cause this schistosomasis. Then the other very serious disease is malaria. You know, from the global part of malaria. Malaria is also a serious disease to the human health, especially in this area, like in Africa, South America, or like this kind of the area, this countries. So it's quite serious. If the people got infected by the malaria parasite, this especially for the Plasmodium falciparum, some of them they got died by this disease. So it's every year there's almost nearly 500,000 people died by this malaria parasite infection. Now even in China, there's important import parasitic disease, such as we can see there's a snail called Bamophineria snails. in the Pearl River Delta. Pearl River Delta in the Guangdong area. Since this snail is a special snail. This snail is the intermediate host of the Schistosoma masonia. As we said, in China we don't have the local Schistosoma masonia, but if the people traveled from the Africa to here, since there's a intermediate host called snail, then there's a chance this disease can happen in China. So we have to pay more attention about this. In those Pearl River Delta is the south gate of the China. Since it's the economic and the political center of the southern part of the China. Since every year is around 8 million inbound foreigners from all the world come to this area. Since some of them that may bring this parasite disease from outside to the China. Then the other imported parasite disease example is like the trypanosome brucei. This infection is called sniffing disease. Since in Africa, there's a case reported. There's a Chinese word called infection in Tanzania. It's in Africa, Tanzania. Then they come back to the China. Initially, the doctor don't recognize this parasite. They got misdiagnosis. Then finally they got correct diagnosis because they never see this kind of disease in China before. Even in USA, the Chagas disease is in the southern Texas. Is around 300,000 infection in USA. Since that's this disease, you can see this is the parasite trypanosome brucei. It's transmitted by these bugs, triatomine bug. Since there's a lot of this kind of the Chagas cause the Chagas disease, especially in the South America. Since even for the seafood, if people eat the raw seafood, they may also get infected by this parasite, called the parasitic disease. Since this is called seafood-borne parasitic disease. Here's this table lists the general of the seafood-borne parasitic reported from the human, including the protozoa, cystoda, trematoda, nematoda, and others. Since here's this, even for the seafood, we have to cook it very well. Otherwise, we may also get infected by this kind of through eating the seafood or got the infection. So the seafood-borne parasite disease, like in Japan or in Australia, since the people like to eat the seafood, the one parasite is quite common. People got infected. That is called anisakis. Since in the abdomen, since there's no other drug can be used to kill this parasite, you have to take them out or directly remove it from the stomach. Since once some people eat this raw seafood fish, they feel abdominal pain, then it's infected by the anisakis. So that is the seafood-borne parasitic disease. Such as under the gastroscope, you can see this. This is the anisakis. Since then you take it, remove it from the stomach, since to do use the treatment. Then in the hospital, some parasites also like adult worm or live in the intestine, like the whipworm. is quite, when the people do the colonoscopy, they can find this parasite called whipworm. So it's quite common in the hospital. This to study the human parasitology is also good for your career future, career development. It's like in our hospital, Sun Yat-sen University, is a doctor called Hao Tianning. He's a doctor. He report on parasite infection in the eye. This called Synesia canipedia. So you can see the parasite is in the eye. These eyes can see a list of the worms. Then he wrote a case report and published in the big journal. It's called the Lancet. Since that is related with the parasite. Then there's other case is also in Sun Yat-sen University called Yang Qingtai and Li Peng. They found this liver fluke in the pharynx, and also they wrote a case report and published in the New England Journal of the Medicine. Since once you become a doctor, if you see this kind of case, unusual, the parasitic case, then you can also write a report and publish in a good journal. Since that is a big discovery. Since through this, we know this how important of this course. So you have to pay more attention about this human parasitology. Then the next part is about the contents of the human parasitology. So we tell you what the human parasitology we should study. Since this is including the introduction part. Introduction, like today, we tell you the brief view about this human parasitology. Then we'll tell you some of the basic concept about the parasite, like the medical parasite, and also what is called parasitology, what is called medical parasitology. And also this, when we discuss the parasite one by one, we will always mention some concept including the host. So the host is including definitive host, intermediate host, reservoir host, and others. We'll talk about later. Then there's some the other concept including such as what is called parasitism, what is called parasitism, and also the parasitic disease. This kind of the contents. So let's look at what is parasitology. So the parasitology is the area of the biology concerned with the phenomenon of the dependence of one living organism on another. One living organism, which means the parasite. Then on another mostly means a human or some animal. So that is the parasitology. Since the human parasitology sometimes we also call the medical parasitology. So that is we only study the parasite related with the human health. So that we deal with the parasites which infect the human, cause the disease. So we study the area including the morphology, the life cycle, and also the disease this parasite that produced, and also the response generated by the human against this kind of parasite. And also the various methods of the diagnosis to make the correct diagnosis, such as we try to find the egg of this parasite, or some adult worm, or some stages, life stages of this parasite. the purpose is try to make the correct the diagnosis. And also we need to study the prevention and the treatment measures. So how to prevent the infection, how to do the treatment, use what kind of the medicine can be used to do the treatment. So that is the major contents of this course called Human or Medical Parasitology. So let's look at the biology part first. Here shows some common concepts for this, such as like some concept including symbiosis, like the parasitism, what is the host or life cycle of parasite-host interaction. So that is all belong to that biology part of these parasites. So what is called a symbiosis? Symbiosis means like in the nature of these two members or two different parts. Both members of the different species they living together. So that is the symbiosis. Living together. They have to live together. That is the symbiosis. This the relationship according to the relationship can be divided into three kinds of the symbiosis. The one is called commensalism. The second part called mutualism. Then the third part is parasitism. Parasitism is the key part in the human parasitology. So what is commensalism? Commensalism, this word was from the Latin. Latin is for eating at the same table. Eating at the same table, which means their friends they eating at the same table. So the ones get benefited to the other part and also this at least no disadvantages to the other part. So and also these two partners they can survive independently. Since one can leave others, they can still survive very well. So here's the example like this bird or the cow. You see, this bird sit on the back of this cow. Since there's no disadvantage to this cow, but for the bird they have the rest. Since this gets some kind of the beneficial to the bird. So that is the communism. Then the mutualism. Mutualism is a very good relationship. Since mutualism is two parts, they both get benefit. When this association is beneficial to both organisms. Here's an example. You see the bee and the flowers. Since the bees got the honey. Then the flowers they can transmit through this bee. They both can get benefited. So that is called mutualism. Both sides get benefit. So that is a very good kind of relationship. So the parasitism. Parasitism is a third type of this communism. Since which means two organisms. The one is the parasite, the other one is the host. For the parasite, normally it's smaller. The parasite and the host. The parasite normally is smaller. Parasite can get the benefit from the host, but the host will not get any benefit from the parasite. The host provide the food or the house to the parasite. So that is called parasitism. Parasitism is this also is the relationship between these two organisms, parasite and host. So the parasite is an organism lives on or in a host organism, and also gets the food from or at the expense of its host. So that is the parasite. So the parasite including the virus, bacteria, protozoa, or helminths. This all called parasite, such as the virus infect the human or the animal. They also get this like the food or like this kind of from this host. But here in the human parasitology, we only focus on the protozoa, helminths, and insect. So that is the typical concept of the parasite. So this parasite, most of them is it's a one cell or the multiple cell organism. So it's for the protozoa is the one cell, but for the helminths and the insect or this kind of the parasite, they are multicellular organism. So that is a parasite. Okay, so let's have 10 minutes break. Then we will keep studying. Let's have 10 minutes break.